And the Lord said through the prophet Zephaniah, I am going to utterly sweep away everything from the face of the earth. Humans, animals, birds of the air, fish of the sea. I'm going to make the wicked stumble. I'm going to cut off humanity from the face of the earth. The day of the Lord is near. Happy Father's Day. Happy summer vacation. Happy Sunday. Now, we've got two sets of postcards this summer that we want you to pay attention to. Okay, I'm sorry, let me explain this. Postcards are like these little rectangular cardboard-like type things, and you can write a note on the back of them and you put a stamp on them. And a stamp is like a little rectangular paper thing that you can lick and stick on it and put it in the mail. And the mail is like this postal service where you send things to each other, but not on the computer. So the two sets of postcards we want you to give attention to this summer are, one, as you travel, send a postcard to the church with a note on the back, and we're going to keep a bulletin board of all the places that our membership are going and being the presence of Christ and enjoying some recreation through the summer. The other set of postcards we want you to give attention to are the minor prophets of the Old Testament. So this summer, all of our proclaiming ministers are going to be preaching on all these little postcards from God, these short notes from God at the end of the Old Testament that we rarely read in church. Books like Nahum and Habakkuk and Zephaniah. And Zephaniah is the perfect postcard to start with today because it's Father's Day. And Zephaniah's characterizing phrase is, the day of the Lord. See, Zephaniah was one of those prophets that was preaching prior to the Babylonian exile. Israel was about to be enslaved by really conquered by the Assyrians, then enslaved by the Babylonians. And Zephaniah was trying to warn them that you're going down the wrong path, and if you could correct your path, all of this destruction and slavery wouldn't happen to you. And so he preaches this wonderful, harsh book, and 17 times in this book he says, the day of the Lord is coming, the day of the Lord is coming, the day of the Lord is coming. And the reason that's a great book for Father's Day is because in Hebrew, that phrase literally means, you just wait till your daddy gets home. Okay, it doesn't really. I made that up. But it has the same sense to it. When the prophet yells, the day of the Lord is coming, it's got that same feel of, you just wait till your father gets home. And of course, that can mean several things, can't it? I mean, depending on the tone of your voice. You just wait till your father gets home. It can be the tone of punishment, can't it? I remember one Thanksgiving, all of our families had gotten together when I was in elementary school. All the cousins were at Grandma's house. The dads had gone out dove hunting, and the rest of us were running around the house making more noise than moms and grandmoms wanted. And so they told us to go outside and play. And we all decided to go outside and play dodgeball. But we didn't have a ball, so we decided to use rocks. And we put some of the people in the middle of the circle and some on the outside of the circle, and we threw rocks at them, and it was imperative that you dodge the rocks. And it really wasn't as bad as you think it is, because we all had trash can lids that we could hold to kind of divert the rock. But in the process of playing dodgeball with rocks, my older sister got hit in the mouth, and it broke off half of one of her front teeth. And we went inside, and everybody was screaming, and she was crying, and I didn't think it looked that bad. But everybody's mom, and finally, my mom said, you just wait till your dad gets home. And we knew. So Dad came home, and he did what dads did back then. I know this is not the way it happens now, but this was, 40 years ago. We got a spanking. We didn't just get a spanking, we got a sentence spanking. Do you remember sentence spankings? Sentence spankings. It's when there was a word for every swat. I can't believe you did this. You better never do that again. You have ruined our Thanksgiving. And you want to turn around and say, Thanksgiving is one word. One lick per word, but you don't. This is the prophet's tone for most of Zephaniah. You just wait till your daddy gets home. You read the prophets of Israel, and each of the prophets speak to Israel during this time to say, You have stolen from the poor, and the rich are lying on ivory sofas. You have oppressed the people with my law rather than telling them of my love. You have not cared for the widows and the orphans. You have ignored the stranger and the foreigner at your gate. I think I'm going to stop reading because this is sounding way too familiar, isn't it? All right, you know me well. You know, I've been here 4 years today. You know me well, and you know I don't talk about politics in sermons. But when politicians use the Bible, you got to take the gloves off. Here's the deal about politics in the Bible, real quick for you, just so you know. The fact is, anytime a politician quotes from the Bible, they are more interested in promoting a political agenda than they are promoting the kingdom of God. I don't care which side they're on. Every time a politician quotes the Bible, they are promoting a political agenda, not promoting the kingdom of God. And so, yes, we respect the civil government as Christians because we're respectful people, but not when the government asks us to do something contrary to the kingdom of God. So we're probably going to get to the book of Daniel this year, and you all know the book of Daniel, right? You know the book of Daniel. Eat the king's food, it's the law. No. Drink the king's wine, it's the law. No. Bow down to the king's idol, it's the law. No. Respect the government? No. Well, we've got a fiery furnace over here in a lion's den for you. Give it your best shot. I'm not sure how good of an attorney Jeff Sessions is. I'm sure he's a good one if he's the Attorney General of the United States, but he's a lousy theologian. We, as God's people, seek kingdom of God. And if Zephaniah were here, he would tell us, you people better straighten up before your daddy gets home, because there's always a sense in the prophet's words of punishment. But sometimes, wait till your father gets home can also sound like reward. You all don't mind if I tell stories about my dad today since it's Father's Day, right? Good, because I was going to tell them anyway. Yeah, one afternoon we were at home during the summer, and my mom got a phone call, and she picked up the phone. That's these things that used to be plugged into a wall at your house and had a little dial on it. And she picked up the phone and said hello, and she starts going, and smiling, And we were all kind of gathered around wondering what's going on. And she hangs up the phone, and she says, oh, wait till your daddy gets home. And we looked at each other and said, that's not a spanking, is it? No, the tone's different. The tone's completely different. And when Dad got home, he told us that the Buy Low grocery store downtown in our little town had a drawing. There was this like turnable cage at the Buy Low grocery store, and every week they gave away things like a gasoline or $20 worth of groceries, and you could register to win. But on this particular week, they gave away a trip to Six Flags over Texas, and our family won the trip. And my mom said, wait till your dad gets home. And he told us, and it was a moment of reward. For those people who were being oppressed in Israel, for the poor and for the children and for the widows and the orphans and the foreigners, there was nothing scary about Zephaniah's words. Because the day of the Lord for them, waiting on Father to come home for them, that was words of comfort. That was words of reward. Finally, things were going to be made right. This is the message of the book of Revelation in the New Testament that so many people fear and kind of twist into something very scary. The day of the Lord is coming. That's not scary for people who are oppressed. This is a time of reward and wonder and thanksgiving because God finally comes and makes things right. It's not just the message of the prophets or the message of Revelation. It's been the message of many of our hymns. Do you remember the old hymn, When We All Get to Heaven? That's not in our hymnal. That might tell you something. I'm just saying. Yeah, when we all get to heaven, do you remember the verse that said, let us then be true and faithful, trusting, serving every day. Just one glimpse of God in glory will the toils of life repay. There's something about your Father is coming home that has a sense of reward to it. And sometimes wait until your Father comes home has the tone of help. Christmas of our 4th grade year, mine and my brother's, this was the Christmas after the Thanksgiving spanking, we both received spider bikes for Christmas. Now, I don't know if you all know what a spider bike is, but it's a regular bicycle, except it had what was called a banana seat on it. It was like a long seat, and it had these high-rise handlebars, and it was called a spider bike, and we both got spider bikes for Christmas. And we were so excited about it, and we loved riding them, but every once in a while, something on the bike would break. You know, the tire would go flat, or the chain would come off, or the seat needed to be adjusted. And when we would go and say something to our mom, she would always say, "That's all right, just wait till your father comes home. Wait till your father comes home." And my dad would come home and he would adjust the seat, or he would change the tire, or he'd put the chain back on. Wait till your father comes home had this tone of, your father's going to be there to help you. In Matthew chapter 1, Joseph has a dream. In that dream, an angel comes to him and says, "Don't be afraid to take Mary to be your wife, for the child that she will conceive, you will name Emmanuel, and that child's name will mean God is with us." John records in his gospel that Jesus told his disciples before he left this earth, "I don't want you to think that I'm leaving you as orphans, for I am going to come back as your comforter and be with you." Wait until your father comes home. It also has this wonderful tone of help. You can almost hear all of those tones when we gather around the Lord's Supper table. It was Paul who said, "Before you eat this meal, examine yourself. Allow the Spirit to judge where your heart is." That's a tone. Take and eat. Reward yourself with the food of God's nourishment. This is my body. Be comforted by my helping presence. It's at this place we hear all the tones of God's voice as God speaks to us. So let's share this meal.